On a fog-choked night in 1984, Harborview's bank lost $4 million, and an inflatable boat was found drifting on Lake Eldridge. Was it a daring escape, or a lie that fooled an entire town? The fog clung to Harborview like a damp shroud, swallowing the streetlights along Main Street on July 17, 1984, at 2310. Danny Collins, the night guard, paced the bank's marble lobby, his boots echoing faintly. His flashlight beam danced across the walls, catching the glint of brass fixtures. The air smelled of polished wood and old money. Something scraped behind the vault door. Danny froze, heart thudding. He spun the combination lock, the mechanism clicking like a metronome. The heavy door swung open. Empty shelves stared back, the vault stripped bare. No alarms. No sound. Danny grabbed the emergency phone, his voice shaky. "Dispatch, this is Collins at Harborview Savings. The vault's gone, cleaned out. No forced entry." Static crackled back, followed by the wail of approaching sirens. His mind raced. Gambling debts, late-night card games, Sarah's worried eyes at home. He hadn't touched the money. Had he? Grainy Polaroid, a blurred figure near the bank's back exit, timestamp 2245, clutching a deflated bundle. A boat? Here? By 2325, Detective Harlan Reed's Ford LTD skidded into the lot, gravel crunching. He stepped out, cigarette glowing, coat flapping in the damp breeze. Officer Mia Torres trailed him, notebook in hand, her rookie enthusiasm barely masking her nerves. "Collins, what happened?" Harlan growled, eyeing the empty vault. Danny stood rigid. "I was on patrol. Heard nothing until I checked." Mia crouched by the back door. A wet footprint led toward the lake, faint but fresh. "They slipped out here," she said. "But how'd they carry $4 million in cash?" The fog seemed to swallow her words. No tire tracks outside. Strange. By morning, Harborview buzzed with fear. At the Blue Anchor Diner, locals swapped theories over burnt coffee. The bank, the town's lifeline, was gutted. Shopkeepers locked doors. Parents kept kids inside. For $1 million, bonds, cash, dreams, gone in a night. At the police station, Harlan leaned across the interrogation table, 8:45 sharp. "Your prints are on the safe, Collins. And we found 10 grand in your locker." Danny's face drained. "That's not mine. Someone planted it." His voice cracked, thinking of Sarah and their son, Tommy, waiting at home. Interrogation tape. "I've got debts, yeah," Danny said. "But steal? I'd never risk my kid." Harlan. "Debts make men desperate." Sarah sat in the station's waiting room, clutching Tommy's hand. Her eyes, red from sleeplessness, scanned the room for hope. She'd begged Danny to quit the card games, but he swore he'd stopped. Now the town's whispers branded him a thief. She wondered if she'd ever trusted him fully. But why no alarms? The official story came fast. By noon, Harlan briefed reporters outside the bank. Evidence points to an inside job. Danny Collins, the guard, is in custody. The crowd murmured, anger, betrayal. Mia frowned, rereading her notes. The footprint by the lake didn't match Danny's boots. She kept quiet, new to the force. A search team found an inflatable boat drifting on Lake Eldridge, half a mile away. Punctured, abandoned, it bobbed in the reeds. They crossed the lake, Harlan declared. Probably sank the cash in a panic. Divers scoured the murky water, but found nothing. The town clung to the theory. A desperate guard, a boat, a botched escape. Yet the boat was too small for $4 million. Days later, Sarah visited Danny in lockup. "They're wrong," he whispered through the glass. "I saw a truck that night, parked out back. Didn't think much of it then." His eyes darted, scared. Sarah's stomach twisted. A truck? Nobody mentioned a truck. Smudge logbook page. Delivery truck, 2230, Reed's Haulage Company. Scribbled in Danny's shaky hand. Harborview's gossip mill churned. At the diner, old-timers recalled Danny's Navy days, his steady hand on ships. He's no mastermind, said Clara, the waitress. Others weren't so sure. The bank's manager, Evelyn Hart, faced scrutiny too. She'd left early that night, claiming a migraine. Her office was spotless, too spotless. Mia walked the bank's perimeter again, flashlight in hand, July 19th, 2200 hours. The lake's edge was soft, muddy. She spotted a second footprint, fainter, near the first. Different tread. Her pulse quickened. She photographed it with her Polaroid, tucking the image into her pocket. Harlan wouldn't like this. 2 sets of prints. Not one. Back at the station, Harlan reviewed the evidence. Danny's prints, the cash in his locker, his debts. Open and shut. But Mia couldn't shake the boat's size. Vermilion in bonds, and cash weighed hundreds of pounds. No way it fit. She dug through files, finding a report on Reed's Haulage Company, owned by Harlan's brother Victor. The truck Danny mentioned matched their fleet. Phone call, July 18th, Victor Reed. Harlan, my rig was in the shop that night. Flat tire. Harlan. Good. Stay out of this. Mia hesitated. Confronting Harlan could tank her career. She slipped the Polaroid into an envelope, hiding it in her desk. Danny's trial loomed, set for August. The town wanted closure. Sarah sold her wedding ring to pay for a lawyer, but the evidence was crushing. Danny's past, a petty theft at 19, sealed his fate in the jury's eyes. What was Victor hiding? On July 25th, a fisherman pulled a soggy duffel from Lake Eldridge. Inside, a single bond, waterlogged, serial number intact. Harlan called it proof of Danny's guilt. He ditched some loot, he told the press. Mia examined the bond later, alone. The serial didn't match the bank's records. It was from a different batch, older. Sarah kept digging, too. She found an old receipt in Danny's jacket. Gas station, 2215, night of the heist. He'd been across town when the vault was hit. She showed it to Mia, hands trembling. He couldn't have been there, Sarah pleaded. Mia nodded, but her gut twisted. The receipt was crumpled, ink faded, easy to dismiss. Too convenient. Or was it? The trial moved fast. By August 10th, Danny was convicted. Guilty, the judge declared. Sarah sobbed in the courtroom, Tommy clinging to her. Harlan watched, stone-faced. Mia stood in the back, the Polaroid burning a hole in her pocket. She hadn't shown it to anyone. Not yet. Weeks later, a janitor at the station found a torn photo in the trash. It showed a truck, Reed's Haulage Company, parked near the bank, timestamp 2240, July 17th. The janitor handed it to Mia, who froze. The truck's license plate was clear. And in the corner, barely visible, was a figure in a police uniform, standing by the lake. Torn photograph, truck in shadows, a uniform silhouette, timestamp smudged but legible. Who was in that uniform? Drop like to catch part 2 and find out what the photo reveals. Drop a comment with your city. 15 years after Harborview's $4 million heist, a forgotten photograph and a cryptic confession could rewrite the truth behind Danny Collins' conviction. But as the past resurfaces, someone is desperate to keep it buried. 15 years had passed since the Harborview heist, and the town had moved on. By July 1999, the bank on Main Street was just another faded landmark, its vault now a storage room for dusty files. The fog still rolled off Lake Eldridge, but the whispers about Danny Collins had faded. His name lingered only in Sarah's sleepless nights, and the occasional barroom debate at the Blue Anchor Diner. Linda Grace, a 32-year-old journalist, arrived in Harborview with a tape recorder and a hunch. Her series on wrongful convictions had gained traction, and Danny's case, flimsy evidence, rushed trial, nagged at her. She rented a room above the diner, poring over old court transcripts. Her first stop, the police archives. What was buried in those files? Linda sifted through boxes in the station's basement, the air thick with mildew. A clerk had warned her, most records from '84 were misplaced. But tucked in a mislabeled folder, she found a cassette tape, labeled Collins Interrogation, July 18, '84. The plastic was cracked, the label smudged. Cassette tape, yellowed label, faint pencil marks reading, backup copy. She played it on an old Panasonic RQ2105. Danny's voice crackled through static. I saw a truck out back, reads haulage. I swear it. Harlan's reply was curt. No truck, Collins. Drop it. Linda paused the tape. Reed's haulage belonged to Victor Reed, Harlan's brother. Her pulse quickened. Why hide a truck? Linda tracked down Sarah Collins, now 53, living in a small apartment on Cedar Lane. Sarah's hand shook as she poured coffee. Danny never stopped talking about that truck. She said, he wrote me from prison, said it wasn't just him they framed. Tommy, now 19, sat silently, his father's absence a shadow over him. Sarah handed Linda a box of Danny's belongings. Inside, a faded gas station receipt, timestamp 2215, July 17, 1984. Linda's eyes narrowed. It placed Danny across town during the heist. Why didn't this come up at trial? She asked. Sarah's voice broke. Harlan said it was irrelevant. Irrelevant? Or suppressed? Linda visited the lake's edge, where the inflatable boat was found in '84. The reed still swayed, hiding secrets. She met a retired bank accountant, George Waller, 68, at a nursing home. His hands trembled as he spoke. That night, I saw someone in a police uniform open the vault. He whispered. Thought it was routine. Never told anyone. Harlan was my friend. Recorded interview, July 12, 1999, George. It wasn't Danny. The man moved like he belonged there. Linda, why stay quiet? George, you don't cross the reeds in Harborview. Linda's stomach churned. A police uniform? She recalled the torn photo Mia had found. A truck, a figure in uniform, timestamp 2240. She tracked down Mia Torres, now 40, a detective in a neighboring county. Mia met her at a gas station, eyes wary. I kept that photo, Mia admitted, sliding it across the table. Harlan told me to drop it. Said it was nothing. Polaroid, creased Reed's haulage truck, a uniformed silhouette by the lake. Who was protecting whom? Linda dug deeper. Reed's haulage company had gone bankrupt in 1985, but tax records showed a $2 million deposit in an offshore account weeks before the heist. The account traced to a shell company linked to Victor Reed. Linda's hand shook as she typed her notes. Victor wasn't just a bystander, he was a player. But how deep did this go? On July 20th, 1999, Linda received an anonymous tip, a grainy VHS tape left at her motel door. It showed Harborview's lakefront at night, 1984, filmed from a dock camera. A truck idled by the bank, then drove toward a drainage tunnel near the river. No boat. No lake crossing. The tape cut off abruptly. VHS still truck headlights piercing fog, timestamp 2250, July 17, 1984. Linda's heart raced. The inflatable boat was a decoy. The real escape was through the tunnel, a drainage line running from the bank to the river. She found a 1983 city blueprint in the library, buried in municipal records. A note in the margin, in Victor's handwriting. Tunnel access, 2200 hours. The heist wasn't a heist. It was a plan. Linda confronted Victor Reed, now 60, at his fishing cabin on Lake Eldridge. His hands gripped a coffee mug, knuckles white. "You're digging up ghosts," he said, voice low. "Let it go." Linda pressed. "Your truck was there. Your company's money moved offshore." Victor's eyes darted to the door. "You don't know what you're stirring up." Cabin meeting, July 25th, 1999, Victor. "Harlan handled it. Always did. Ask him." Linda, "Harlan's retired. And you're scared." That night, Linda's motel room was ransacked. Her laptop was untouched, but the VHS tape was gone. She called Mia, who agreed to reopen the case unofficially. They met at the drainage tunnel, now overgrown with weeds. Inside, they found a rusted padlock and a scrap of cloth, blue, like a police uniform. Someone was watching. On August 1st, 1999, George Waller was found dead in his nursing home room. Official report, heart attack. But a nurse whispered to Linda, "I heard two voices in his room that night." Linda obtained George's last phone record. A call to Harlan Reed, 2345, hours before his death. Linda and Mia tracked Harlan to a bar in Portsville, 30 miles away. He was 73, hunched over a whiskey. "You're chasing shadows," he slurred when Linda showed him the photo. But his hand shook. "Victor's broke. Always was. He didn't plan this." Mia leaned in. "Then who did, Harlan?" "He knew more than he said." The breakthrough came August 10th. Linda found a retired city engineer, Clara Vance, 65, who'd worked on the drainage tunnel in '83. "Victor asked me to keep the tunnel off public maps," Clara said. "Said it was for safety." She handed Linda a faded blueprint, taped to the back of a drawer. It showed the tunnel's path to the river, and a hidden exit near an old warehouse. Linda and Mia searched the warehouse, now abandoned. In a corner, under rotting boards, they found a duffel bag. Inside, $500,000 in bonds, serial numbers matching the heist. And a note, handwritten. "Harlan, you owe me. V." The truth was close. Too close. On August 15th, Linda received a call from an unknown number. A voice, distorted, said, "Stop digging, or you'll end like George." She hung up, heart pounding. Mia ran a trace. The call came from a payphone near Victor's cabin. They drove there, but the cabin was empty. A single item lay on the table, a plane ticket to Panama, dated 1984, in the name of Daniel Carter. Danny Collins was alive. Linda and Mia flew to Panama, tracking the alias. In a coastal bar, they found him, gray-haired, 57, living as Daniel Carter. His eyes widened when Linda showed him the photo. "I didn't steal it," he whispered. "I ran because they'd kill me if I talked." He leaned closer, voice breaking. "I just wanted time to fix things for Sarah and Tommy." The truth wasn't justice. It was survival. Harborview learned the truth in September 1999. Danny's conviction was overturned, but no arrests followed. Victor vanished. Harlan retired quietly. Sarah hugged Tommy, tears falling, knowing Danny wouldn't return. The town rebuilt the bank, but the scars remained. Justice felt hollow. Some truths don't heal. They just linger. What do you think? Was this justice? Share your thoughts in the comments. In the humid bars of Panama, Danny Collins faced his past, revealing a web of family betrayal that spanned decades. But as the truth surfaced, Harborview's secrets threatened to pull one last victim under, leaving a town forever changed. September 1999 brought rain to Harborview, turning Lake Eldridge into a churning gray mirror. Linda Grace and Mia Torres sat across from Danny Collins, now Daniel Carter, in a dimly lit bar on Panama's coast. The air smelled of salt and stale beer. Danny's hands, weathered by years of manual labor, clutched a glass. His eyes, lined with regret, met theirs. "I didn't plan the heist," he said, voice low. "Victor approached me weeks before. Said Harlan needed help covering bad loans at the bank. I was desperate, debts piling up. Thought it was just moving some cash." Linda leaned in. "The uniform? The tunnel?" Danny nodded. "Victor had keys from his construction days. Harlan wore the uniform to open the vault, made it look official. I stood watch, then took the fall. The boat was bait, to point away from the tunnel." Harlan and Victor, brothers in crime. Mia recorded it all on a small digital recorder, the red light blinking steadily. Danny's confession poured out. The offshore account funneled money to save Reed's haulage from bankruptcy. Harlan planted the evidence in Danny's locker. "They'd promised I'd get a cut later," Danny admitted. "But after the trial, they vanished it all." Panama interview, September 5, 1999. Danny: "I ran to protect Sarah. If I talked, they'd come for her." Linda: "And George Waller?" Danny: "Harlan silenced him. I heard the call." Back in Harborview, Sarah Collins received the news via Linda's hurried call. She sat on her porch, Tommy beside her, now a young man with his father's eyes. "He's alive," she whispered, tears mixing with rain. But joy twisted into pain. Danny had hidden for 15 years, leaving her to grieve a ghost. Why the silence? Fear. Always fear. Linda and Mia returned with Danny's signed affidavit. They confronted Harlan Reed at his rundown home on Elm Street, October 1, 1999, 14:20. The old detective sat in a rocker, oxygen tank hissing softly. "You win," he rasped, "no fight left. Victor planned it. I covered, for family. The bank's loans were toxic. We saved the town." Harlan confessed on tape. The brothers split the money. Victor fled to Mexico under a false name, living modestly until a heart attack in 1997. No fortune left, just regrets. "Danny was the patsy," Harlan said. "Easiest mark. Sailor with debts." Mia's face hardened. "And the boat?" Harlan chuckled weakly. "Decoy. Worked too well." Affidavit page: Danny's signature, notarized in Panama, yellowed edges from hasty travel. But Victor was dead. Justice delayed. The twist hit hard. During the confrontation, Harlan clutched his chest, collapsing. Paramedics arrived too late. Heart failure, like George's. Mia found a hidden drawer in his desk, a ledger detailing the laundering through local builders. Millions funneled into Harborview's new marina, now a town pride. The community had profited from the crime. Linda published her series in the regional paper, headlines screaming betrayal. Sarah visited the site of the old bank, now a community center. "He chose survival over us," she told Tommy. "But knowing, it eases the ache." The town re-elected its mayor, but whispers of corruption lingered. Divers researched the lake, nothing. The remaining bonds? Traced to anonymous donations, perhaps Victor's quiet amends. One last secret, a letter from Danny. In November, Sarah received a package from Panama. Inside, a simple envelope postmarked weeks earlier. Danny's handwriting. "Forgive me. I stole time, not money. Live for Tommy." No return address. She burned it in the fireplace, ashes swirling like fog on the lake. Harborview changed slowly. A plaque at the marina honored unknown benefactors. Danny stayed in Panama, free but haunted. Linda's stories won awards, but she wondered, was exposure enough? Mia rose in the force, vowing no more cover-ups. The heist faded into legend, A cautionary tale of greed masked as loyalty. Some endings aren't tidy. They echo. In quiet moments, Sarah walked Lake Eldridge's shore. The inflatable boat's ghost drifted in her mind, not escape, but illusion. Justice came, fractured and late, reminding Harborview that truths bury deepest surface eventually. The fog lifted, but shadows remained. How would you rewrite this ending? Share in the comments. What lingers for you?